You are now tuned into Flipping.
Good evening, everybody, for the final time of the 2023 regular season. The Philadelphia Eagles are unfortunately 2 days away from their final regular season matchup, a showdown with the dreaded New York Giants. It's a sentence no one wants to say. No one really wants to go into Week 17 needing a win, and the Eagles are kind of in a spot where they can't afford to tank, really. They can't afford to rest a ton of starters. They do need to push for the win, and it's annoying for so many different reasons, and I'm sure we're going to touch on all of them and some bonus ones in this stream. Good afternoon, everyone, to watching so far. We are now streaming to our Twitter page as well, which is kind of cool. So if you do follow us on Twitter and, you'd say hello, bonjour, comment appel too, and obviously YouTube and Facebook as well. Depending on what platform you're on, if you could leave us a like or retweet or the thing on YouTube, whichever one, that'll be a massive help. Again, it is the best way to support the stream. And shout out to, of course, the Core 12 who are in the YouTube chat this evening. Duck wasn't too happy that the Eagles potentially could still lose to a team that doesn't want to win to get a top 5 draft pick. Isaac's not happy either. I'm glad someone noticed the accidental flipping the birds intro at the start. Don't tell Brian he might have a go at me. But it acted like a little smooth transition, I think. That's exactly what I mean. AZ beating us might have cost them a lower slot in the draft. Yeah, look, this whole scenario to me is so painful to talk about because none of it should even be a thing. The Eagles should have cleaned up the East so long ago. If you look at the way that Dallas has even gone, the week that the Eagles needed the Cowboys to drop a game, they did. And then they did it again a week later. It couldn't have gone much better from a Philadelphia perspective. They only needed the Cowboys to drop 1 or 2 games. It doesn't matter what they did with the rest of them. And they could have still claimed the NFC East crown. Now they find themselves in a spot where the difference between the top of that seeding and the bottom is ridiculous. And if you look at the playoff paths, I'll get the playoff picture up at the minute. It's just embarrassing that you give yourself that much extra work. You probably don't realize it, when you're on the field and you're battling around with the Cardinals and you're fighting for your life. But the difference between a blown play, a bad series against Arizona, some dodgy play calling, whatever it was, in that week, compared to a win in that week, is genuinely ridiculous. What you have done is giving yourself an extra playoff game that you have to win, obviously, and then gone from there to give yourself a much tougher sort of run of opponents. And if we have a look at it here, this is the NFC and AFC playoff picture at the minute. The Eagles in the 5 seed. They should be in the 2, really. They don't have a bracket on this site. That's annoying. Bear with me. Is there no bracket? Can we not just see a bracket? Why is it so hard to get a playoff bracket? Is it... God, it's me and Bing again, isn't it? It never really ends well. But you get what I'm trying to say here. Here we go. So the Eagles now would likely have to face the Bucs. The Bucs are in a bit of a weird spot. So if you go to the NFC, nothing works on this stupid internet. But the Bucs are in a weird spot where their division is very much in flux. Carolina are out, sure. But if you look at the rest of the teams in that division, New Orleans, Atlanta are both hanging around. Both could be taking that spot, that 4 seed from Tampa Bay. So I don't get the playoff seeding. I really don't understand it. Why should an 11-win team be penalized because there's another 11-win team in their division? Does it somewhat devalue their 11 wins? Absolutely not. And they should really have a higher seeding than an 8-win team. But alas, beggars, can't be. I suppose you know what I'm saying. Well, I don't know 3 or whatever. I'm being a bit tired. But my point is that Arizona game, had they won, you have a bye in that first round. You get to worry about the Packers, and then you go on to it's no bye. Then you move on to the Niners. The difference between having to face the Bucs, then likely having to face potentially the Cowboys, and then again winning the championship is just insane. It is absolutely insane. Liam, your French is not great. Mine sucks, and yours might be worse than mine. Colon. Oh no. Come on, Tapel 2 is what's your name, isn't it? That's what that means. That means what's your name? It's a good effort. It's a good effort. Eugene Krabs, bless him. Love seeing you cook trolls on Twitter. Thank you so. Look, if I knew I got paid $50 for trolling everyone on Twitter, my life would be very happy. But thank you very much again for the kind donation, man. That is incredibly sweet of you. Again, you never have to donate. I think you're by far our biggest supporter on the channel, and it means a lot. So just thank you for continuing to give so generously to myself and PSN. Yeah, it's very humbling and nice to see. So just you never have to. Please don't ever feel that you have to. It's just very kind of you. So thank you for that act of kindness. But he's got his Christmas hat on there. Look, he's still got his little Christmas hat on. It's either the Bucks or if they lose, the Saints or the Falcons. Exactly, but it's just putting yourself through unnecessary stress. And the thing with it is if the Eagles had beaten Arizona and then know they can beat a bad team, it wouldn't matter because you have confidence in yourself and your ability and what you've achieved and the record you have. Is there anything over the past 6 weeks to be confident about with this Eagles team? Realistically, like quarterback, people are doubting that now. Defensive coordinator, no. Defense, no. Offense, no. Maybe AJ Brown and DeAndre Swift. Jalen Carter, that might be about. Jordan Davis is fat, by the way, apparently, to everyone that didn't know. So, like, you know, there isn't much to me. So for me, that game, and I said it the week before when it happened, I think it was against the Seahawks, wasn't it? Or it might have even been the Giants, but they almost needed to dig themselves out of the trenches. And every time they push themselves in, they just can't get back out. If the Eagles start strong and they go on and they continue it, it's fine. And we say it every week. As soon as that first blow is dealt, as soon as that first punch is thrown, they panic, they get scared, they overthink, and they dig themselves so much further down than they originally were. You've now got this track record of it happening. It's not a one-time thing. In the same way that I was panicking about these things at 10-1. And it was, you're overthinking it. You're putting too much. They're 10-1. Who's complaining about a 10-1 team? Yeah, must be Philadelphia. Then it's 10-2. Then it's 10-3. Now we're 11-5. And the same things are happening, you know? So, like, we're at a point where if the Eagles somehow lose this game to the Giants, right? Like, you limp into the playoffs against losses to the Giants and the Cardinals. You enter your postseason campaign having just come on the back of a Super Bowl after losing out to the Cardinals and the Giants to end the regular season. Like, you can't do that. But that means you've got to play to beat the Giants. Like, you have to really attack this game. Not only from a confidence standpoint, but it's the only way they're going to win the NFC East. Like, they have to win. So Nick Sirianni's not going to be resting Jalen Hurts. And I know there is the argument about the MetLife turf. And I don't know the exact number of players that have got injured using the MetLife turf this year, but my guess would be about 87. There is a concern that you can't rest those guys. You can't get them healed up and ready to go. They're already going to be without Devontae Smith. So AJ's going to now be bracketed, which means you're going to be looking at Quez Watkins or Julio, but only within 20 yards. You can't do anything outside of the red zone, apparently, but that's fine. Is what it is. Like, there's just... It shouldn't be a must-win. This should not be a must-win. It's that simple, right? You cannot go into a Week 17 game where, again, if I'm right in saying the Giants currently have a top 5 pick, if they lose, it goes to 8, and if they win, it goes to... Sorry, no, if they lose, it goes to 2. If they win, it goes to 8. Like, they're the two maximums it can go on the scale. So you're telling me that through all of that, like, a team that should be losing, you have to try to beat the team that should be losing and still probably gonna struggle. And they're on, like, their 19th quarterback. Like, we haven't even touched on that their quarterbacks tonight. They're literally on, like, their 4th quarterback of the year by now. And you know it's going to be a relatively tame game. Or the other opposite is the Eagles will piss them out the water, put 40 on them, and again, you never hear the end of it. And we've said that all year as well. And I hate how right this prediction is becoming, that the Eagles will steamroll this team now. And they'll go, yeah, we got our swagger back. We're class. We're great. And then they'll get bounced by Tampa Bay or whoever. Like, they just need to have a complete game. I don't care if they lose to the Giants or if they win. They're in the playoffs at this point. That's all that matters. But can they just please show signs of life? Can they show that if they dig themselves into a hole through a turnover or some bad play calling, that they can get out of it without just inviting New York to stamp all over them? Can they show that there's more depth to this offense than vertical routes and wide receiver screens? Oh, and QB draws. Like, is there anything that can just be used as a platform to build confidence? Because that's what all these games should be. It shouldn't be a must win. And the fact it is an absolute joke. And we'll get to some of your comments now. And we'll come back and highlight Eugene again later for being the wholesome little devil he is. Also, yeah, if you are here, let's put some crab emojis in the chat. Just as a thank you for Eugene Krabs. I don't have an Apple keyboard on me. I've got like a little, I can't do it on here, but I'll just type the word crab and that's going to send before it goes out, isn't it? There we are. The word crab in capitals. Tremendous. By the way, the fair weather part of our fan base is insane. JD's a bust. Hertz is a bust. AJ's a diva. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get annoying. I can't lie. There's only so many more like videos and TikToks and clips I can make of just shouting down people. Like the best thing was I was like, Brian Baldinger's, analysis has sparked this entire discourse that Jordan Davis is a bust. And everyone's like, you don't know more football than Brian Baldinger. I was like, no, I probably don't. But I wasn't talking about Brian Baldinger. What was like, you bozos? Like, it's a weird time. I feel like the success of the team over the past 5-6 years has probably brought in some new fans, and all they have known outside of that one duff season with Carson Wentz is a standard of winning 3 consecutive playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances. So it's easy, like their equivalent of a bust now is Jordan Davis. We had years of Jalen Reagor. We had J.J. Arthur-Whiteside trotting around under his mum's umbrella. Okay? We had John Hightower. We had Donnell Pumphrey. And we're going to sit and pretend that Jordan Davis is a bust because as a nose tackle, he's like 320 pounds, which is what he should be as a nose tackle anyway. Like, lacking effort is one thing. But to go, yeah, the guy's a bust. What has he done that's bust-worthy? If you ask any of the people saying Jordan Davis is a bust, all right, how is he a bust? What's Jordan Davis done bad to this offense? How is he a bust? As a bust to me, it implies you've spent significant capital on someone and they've not panned out. They've not worked out as you intended. Jordan Davis was... The only argument you can make for Jordan Davis is that Kyle Hamilton was sat on the board and right now the Eagles need a safety. That's about as far as you can go. Of saying, all right, maybe it's a Reagor and Jefferson comment. That's as far as it goes. Is that at the time, they had a potential decision to make and they went the other way. And that we're now living in that parallel universe. That's as far as you can go. But Jordan Davis this season, I think, has been solid. I don't think I've seen him play horrifically bad. It's really hard to say if a defensive player lacks, like a defensive line player lacks effort. I don't know how you evaluate. It's not like a receiver. You can see them stopping running routes. Are we just assuming that because he's a bit heavier, therefore slower, therefore maybe might not be getting as much penetration, that it lacks effort? Is that what we're doing? Like, how do you grade? Because, again, I put a clip on Twitter the other day of him chasing down a wild Josh Allen out the pocket, stopping him out of bounds. Like, he's been showing the effort. It's just that because he's a bit bigger and he's slower than Jalen. Like, it doesn't help when you put him against Jalen Carter and Milton Williams, because Milton Williams is built like a defensive end or a cornerback, and Jalen Carter is an absolute, like, freak of nature, Aaron Donald level monster. So you've got Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, standing next to Jordan Davis, who even at Georgia was never known for his pass rushing ability. And people are comparing him to Javon Hargrave. Like they're the same player. Like, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest are they the same player. I mentioned in the tweet, Jordan Davis right now is 8th in the NFL of all interior run defenders in the entire league. Top 8. Bear in mind, it's probably like 2 or 3 a team. Top 8. But he lacks effort. But he's a bust. What is he busting? The only thing busting is you over your computer screens because you're not watching football clearly. You're busting somewhere and it ain't Jordan Davis. So, like, I had to get out of my system because it was genuinely infuriating. Like, there is so much wrong with this team. You can't just single out one guy and go, yeah, that one, that's a bust. That's the one right there. That's him. Like, on that note, we're going to talk about Brandon Graham's been a bit quieter this year. Are we going to talk about Fletcher Cox being a bit quieter, maybe he's lost it. That was the thing for a while, that Fletcher's lost a step, but now he's behind other guys and he's not required to be at 100 miles an hour all the time. The conversation dissipates. It's just the spotlight is so fixed on the starters and there's not an understanding of what the role is or does. Like, Jordan Davis isn't there to rush the passer. He's not there to penetrate the backfield and swallow the run. He's there to absorb double teams. And I think in October, he was one of the most double team players in the league, if I can remember rightly, and allow guys like Reddick, guys like Sweat, who have had great years, by the way, guys like Carter on a defensive rookie of the year campaign, by the way, ISO matchups to win. That's it. That's why he's there. Because you cannot have a defense where everyone is going to be like pinned. It doesn't work like that. If you've got someone that is so big and ferocious that you have to double team him, it opens things up. It opens things up. So I don't know, man. Like, it's a tired conversation. Like, the Jalen Hurts stuff has some merit, right? We discussed it last week. Wednesday. We looked at his stats. We said, all right, maybe there are reasons to be concerned. Maybe it is a down year. Maybe the turnovers are worrying. You can look at the AJ Brown personality stuff. It had merit. The Darius Slay personality stuff, 100% right. I still stand by that. The lack of personnel at linebacker or safety, the bad play calling. But singling out Jordan Davis is the equivalent of singling out like Dallas Goedert on offense. He's not had the most prolific year. He's not been brilliant, but he's been solid. And he's opened up the run game for a guy like DeAndre Swift to get 1,000 yards. He's taken some safety attention for a guy like AJ Brown to set NFL records. Like, you can't just go, yeah, Dallas Goedert hasn't had 1,200 yards, therefore he's a bum and we should trade him. Like, it just doesn't, it's such a macro focus. Like, if in doubt, zoom out. Jordan Davis has had a solid year. I don't care if he's a bit bigger. Good. It will stop people even more. It gives more attention to him, you know? It opens things up further for everyone else. You're not bringing Jordan Davis in to run around like Milton Williams. I'll be amazed if Howie Roseman isn't feeding him Cheez-Its on the sideline. Get him bigger, is what I say. But enough about JD. We'll move on to some other comments of yours now. Actually, back onto JD. I tell a lie. I've got to catch back up, haven't I? JD's a third pick. He still needs to develop. Hurts is throwing at 66% completion rate and a decent number of that on turnovers. AJ speaking truth. I agree. And Eugene Krabs, unsurprisingly, has a great take. Would you imagine that? Laid a bit too much into JD. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, really. I don't mind Brian Baldinger's analysis as much as it can be a bit, I don't know what the word is, kind of pointing out the obvious at times, I suppose, but it's someone that's done film analysis. I get it, because that's kind of, what you have to do. But it felt very unwarranted. It felt very unfair. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Okay, this guy's a friend of mine now. Once upon a time, I was at a party for New Year's Eve. All right, a little get together, a little shindig, if you will. And a friend of my brother's came up to me, and I'd never met him before. And he introduced himself, and his name was Blank, and I was Liam. And he said, "Are you Finn and Joe's brother?" And I was like, "Yeah, big time." And he went, "How old are you?" And at the time, I think I was 24. And he went, "Does it not scare you?" And I went, "What?" And he went, "Dying alone." I was like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Well, you haven't got a girlfriend, you're mid-20s. Does it not scare you? You should be settling down." I was like, well, if it did, the last place I want to discuss it is a New Year's Eve party to celebrate the new year, getting older, with my friends. That's not the moment. And it was just so out there and unwarranted and unnecessary. It's just exactly the same. That is the Jordan Davis stuff to a T. I do not understand where half of it's coming from. But we'll go back. A quick shout out to Eric, who's in the chat this evening. Cheerio to Sir Eric and the chat 12. I hope you've had a lovely week so far, sir. If firing Brian is out of the rest of the season, how do you think they fix it? Oh, okay. I'm with you. How do they fix the offense? I don't think they do. The worry is if he comes, there's going to be such a spotlight on Brian Johnson now this offseason because of how bad the offense has been. right? So if they double down on Brian Johnson and they say, okay, it's fine, like we believe in you, we'll bring you back, like whatever, it's teething problems, is what it is. You're a young coach. That you still made the playoffs, you still ranked good here. Swift had a K yards and became a Pro Bowler. AJ Brown broke records. You're doing something good. We'll bring you back. If they do that, can you imagine the outburst of rage if the Eagles' offense is exactly the same as it was this past season? Like week 1, and it's the same stuff. And it is the same criticisms of the shoddy play calling, the lack of rhythm, the lack of continuity, just the lack of creativity. And it all comes back. Like, he won't have long. And I feel like it would just be a very unfortunate thing to do, is like to almost force him back into that room and say, go again. Like, if I'm Nick Sirianni, if I'm Howie Roseman, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm saying that is unacceptable. We believe in you, but we think you need time to develop. So we're going to put you in Howie's cupboard for a bit. Or we're going to like make you a pass game coordinator or a run game coordinator. Give him like a Dwight Schrute-esque role. Let him just work with the staff. I don't care if it's Frank Reich or, you know, someone else from a college level. Like, I'm not that big on the other coordinator names. I don't know a ton of them. I couldn't name them off the top of my head for potential replacements without doing some research. But just whoever replaces him, just sit him under the wing for a year. Let him be the passing game coordinator. Let him be the run game coordinator. Let him carry the footballs in a bag. Let him play Sudoku. Just do whatever. Or as Isaac says, make him quarterback coach again. Because that worked brilliantly. Like, he took a fundamental leap, an unbelievable leap last year. Turned into an MVP caliber signal caller, right? Like, get him back there. That's fine. And then bring in a different offensive coordinator. Because if you keep him, there is such an unrelenting amount of pressure to change something, or there to be an instant impact. Like, if you roll out to week 1 and that offense resembles anything that is similar to the 2022 Eagles, he will be ran out of town quicker than you can say BJ. Like, he will not last, and the Eagles cannot afford to let that happen. So I think the wise thing to do would be to demote him friendly, like in a friend zone way. It's not you, it's me. We want some change. Like, just do something to get him away from the offense where he can't really do any damage. Yeah, it's sort of like if you've got a yappy like puppy that's just nipping at everything. Just like, don't leave socks around, or you just take stuff out so he's not going to do any damage. Joe Manjune, I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. Nice video, keep it up. What a man. Tremendous. Thank you, Joe. So basically, the lesson here is to not overlook offensive and defensive coordinators. You may have star players, but without a good OC and DC, the things won't work. Bang! Well done. That's a great observation. Very eloquently put. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for tuning in, Joe. I hope you're having a happy new year. Welcome to the stream. I hope you are enjoying yourself and you're all bustled in at home with a lovely mulled wine, maybe, if it's still the season. Look, it's the best example I can give is I say it at least 3 times a week now, but it's Manchester United. And for those that don't follow soccer, one of the most valuable clubs in the world, one of the most renowned clubs in the world, one of the most successful clubs in the world. And all they continue to do is pour money into the team to buy every big name that ever exists ever. And then it doesn't work out after a year. And then they fire the manager and they bring in another one and they do the exact same thing again. They had one of the best managers of all time, Jose Mourinho. Fuck that up. Excuse my French. We're almost past the watershed. Culture matters. Like, coordination, coaching, leadership are all such important traits. It doesn't matter how many star players you've got if they're playing like individuals. And it's, there's that saying, isn't there, that it's the X's and O's, not the Jimmys and the Joes? Is that the way round it goes? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's the X's and O's, it's not the Jimmy and the Joes. All right, that's for free. You have that for free, that one. You can take that with you. You can have that for free. And we've debated this for a while as well, as to whether, there is a leadership problem. Maybe it's just a different style from what we're used to. Maybe there aren't strong enough leaders in the way that's needed for this situation. Like, leadership can come in a whole variety of ways. You've got your big rah-rah guys. You've got your hands-on guys in the trenches with you. You've got the cliche motivational guys, which is what Nick Sirianni strikes me as. And different people respond to different types of leadership. I genuinely, it's something, a light bulb has just gone off. And I don't know if there's any weight to this. I don't know if it's accurate, but I want to put it out there and see what you guys think, okay? How many players have come from Georgia or Alabama in the last 3-4 years? It's a substantial amount of the team, right? You can go Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Keely Ringo. I mean, obviously, Jalen Hurts had been at Alabama previously. Landon Dickerson had been there previously. Devontae Smith was at Alabama. There's a lot of focus on those cultures. And traditionally, guys like Nick Saban, guys like... Who's the Georgia coach? It's not Kirby. Is it Kirby Smart? Is it Kirby Smart? I need this for the TikTok clip. I have to cut it. I'm going to Google Kirby Smart. I hope it's Kirby Smart. It is Kirby Smart. Look at the ball knowledge from the young man. Look at the coaching chops on the boy. All right, we'll cut this bit. We'll add the next bit back in. Coaches like Nick Saban. Coaches like Kirby Smart. Right? Very disciplined. Very not strict as such, but like they have standards. They meet them. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very aggressive. It's very it's giving like just hard. It's hard coaching. It's the only way to describe it. They're fundamentally hard schools, and the guys that come out of them are the same type of players. Whether it's Tua, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Devontae Smith, whether it is Jordan Davis, whether it is Jalen Carter, like guys that have been team captains on those teams, come out, chip on their shoulder, ready to work, head down, go. And I wonder if that you've got Nick Sirianni, who's very chirpy, flyy. I'm Nick, I wear shirts, we beat Dallas. I don't know if that maybe is sitting as well with some of those guys that have been used to the harder, more aggressive, more intense style of coaching that has gotten them to that spot to begin with. And this might be overthinking it. It might be a total non-issue. But a light bulb went off. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, maybe that's it. Like, maybe the Eagles are focused so much, like, the past few years on finding players that have been team captains, that have been leaders, that have been on championship caliber, championship winning teams, that maybe you're bringing them into an environment where that energy is then not reciprocated at the top. It's a very one-way street. You've got the players wanting to do it their way. You've got the coaching staff being like, give me an O, give me an F, give me an F. Like, and it just feels a bit disjointed. And I don't know if that's accurate. I just wanted to throw it out and see what you guys thought, because I'd never thought about it until now. And yeah, just intrigued, really. MOB843 or Mob, I'm not sure which one it is, but I will call you James for now. We'll go with James. He says, yes, we got Kirby Smart correct. Let's have a look. I find it funny, he says, Duck, that all these five Sirianni guys think they'll get Harbaugh after he leaves Michigan. He'd never want to coach us as long as Howie and Jeffrey don't let him pick his staff. Very good point. I don't think that would be a likely candidate for them. And that's the thing. Like, if you do fire Sirianni, I don't even know where you go. But realistically, the other thing is, like, as good as Sirianni has been, look at the players he's got. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, it would be hard to be bad. Jonathan Gannon was made to look good. Jonathan Gannon was made to look great as a defensive coordinator. Okay? The Eagles, I don't know if there is a team with more star power outside of Miami, San Fran, Buffalo. I don't think there is. Like, from top to bottom, this roster is elite. It should be one of the best in the NFL. So like, any coach worth their chops should be in the playoffs every year. Should be 11 wins minimum. You know, like I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on Fire Sirianni. I think realistically it's too soon. He's achieved too much in such a short space of time to throw in the towel immediately. However, look, I'll say this. All right, someone put it on Instagram the other day, and I don't want to mention their name because they might not want their business put all over the interwebs because they are a Philadelphia fan. But they left a relationship and they said it was an almost relationship. And like, it took a lot to walk away. It was an almost relationship. And that kind of hit home. And you're like, is that Sirianni and the Eagles? Is it almost? They almost won the Super Bowl. They're almost an elite team this year. It's not enough to be fully fulfilled. Like, there is something missing. And I think that's the safest way to describe it, is that there is something missing. And none of us, look, we've got 18 people in this chat now. None of us can work out what it is. No fan, no analyst, certainly not Marcus Hayes can sit here and work out what it is that's missing. But is it an almost relationship? Is it something it's almost perfect? It was the almost perfect team, right? And when you put it like that, when you've got teams as talented as the Eagles don't come around very often, let alone with the flexible upside to still get better. Jalen's contract doesn't really kick in for about 2 years yet. So you've still got some room to breathe. Jalen Carter's a rookie. Jordan Davis is in his second year. You've got key cornerstones, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Steen, that have got Jordan Mailata, that are going to be around for a few years minimum. Devontae Smith, all right? A.J. Brown. Teams don't come that well packaged out of the box very often. Like, if at all ever. So to have a head coach where you've had a season of the same things that haven't got changed, and you're now 11-5, and you have to beat the Giants in a meaningless football game to just have a chance at securing your own division, it is the almost perfect relationship. It was almost exactly what we wanted, and it sort of isn't. And I think that might be the sad reality. So as much as I don't want to fire Sirianni, as much as I believe in him and his ability to continue to help this team get better, someone's got to be the fall guy. Someone's got to take accountability for what's going on, because nothing's changing. They did it on defense. They haven't on offense. And there has to be a change at some point. And it won't obviously happen until deep into the offseason. But for something that is almost perfect, it's on the fringe of being what every fan could ever dream of it being. Super Bowls, playoffs, Pro Bowlers, elite talents everywhere, 40-point games, a franchise quarterback you never have to worry about, never getting any off-the-field dramas. There's never any concern with this team's character anymore in terms of off-the-field stuff, like with players being arrested or umbrella incidents or contract holdouts. There's none of that. It's almost perfect, but almost is the word. And I don't know if that starts and ends. Maybe it's the coach, maybe it's the coordinators, but I don't know how responsible Nick Sirianni is for that. And that's kind of how I word it. Armand J, 27, says starters don't need to be sitting, they need to be winning. Unfortunately, yeah. The only thing, again, I think in caveat to it is the lack of actual turf at MetLife. I'm pretty sure they will be playing on concrete, as far as I'm aware. So that's got to be a factor. But they have to win. Like, they can't afford to limp into the playoffs with 2 losses against a team with a combined, 7 wins? It's unacceptable. You cannot let that happen. So even from just an outright, normal perspective, they have to win this game. Like, forget playoff implications. Just from a morale and a confidence perspective, it's a must win. Because every week feels like this will be the turning point. They lose to the Niners. Oh, that's bad. They'll rebound, though. Cowboys. Oh, that's a tricky one, but it was in Jerry World. They'll rebound, though. That's the turning point. That's the turning point. Seahawks. Oh, that was bad. Hey, Drew Lock fluked it. Turning point. They'll come back better. Giants. We're back. Cardinals. This will be the turning point. That's the one. If there's ever a turning point, we're turning around that point, babe. How many more? How many more are we going to get? That's the thing. So they have to win this game. They have to. And it doesn't really matter to me what happens with Dallas. I don't care if they win the East or they don't, but they need to win this game because it's embarrassing if they don't. Jonathan Harvey says Nick Sirianni needs to stand next to this sign. No entry. He's not allowed. Not allowed in. Get him out. Fuming. Maybe, but also most of our players are 2 to 3 year starters in the league. Okay, yeah, very good point. Yeah. But those 2 to 3 year starters have been with Sirianni. I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? This is why I don't get paid the big bucks to make that decision, is all I'm saying. Phil is in. Go Birds. I've highlighted the wrong comment. From Phil Stifle, host of Trending in the AM. If you've been watching along this week, thank you. If you haven't, you're missing out. Be sure to check it out on our YouTube channel every single day of the week, Monday to Friday in the morning, around 8:30 a.m., I believe. I think it's 8:30 now. I think it moved. Either way, it's on when I wake up. I know that much. I feel like the missing thing is team chemistry. It's easily the lowest it's been all year long. It doesn't feel like anybody's working with anybody else. And that's it. It is just really, unfortunately, a group of very talented individuals. A group of very, very talented individuals. But I don't know how much of that translates to a team. Like, you can look at every spot. You can look at every spot on offense and defense. Wide receiver has had concerns. They've since been calmed, but there were concerns with AJ. How valid they were, I don't know, but the concerns existed. Tight end, well, it's one man anyway because the others are shite. The offensive line, way too many penalties this year. Sloppy play at times. It took Jordan Mailata about 8 weeks to heat up. Jason Kelsey's probably been the lone constant. Running back... DeAndre Swift, sometimes Kenny Gainwell comes in and fumbles it. That's fun. The rest of the time, it's just DeAndre Swift. Quarterback, we spoke about. Defensive line, apparently Jordan Davis is on, my 500-pound girlfriend on TLC now. I don't really know where that came from either. Linebacker have got no players. Corners have been terrible, and Darius Slay is too busy organising circle jerks to his own highlight tapes. And then the safety position also has no talent. So, outside of Reed, sorry, Reed. Although he has been tailing off recently, just no one wants to admit it because they like him. That's another conversation, but we'll leave it for another day. I think it might just be that there isn't a cohesion through the team because everything feels disjointed. I don't know how I word this either, but how many long-term options are there on defense that aren't the defensive line? Because Darius Slay is going to retire soon. We know that James Bradbury might be on the way out. Linebackers change every year. Safeties, Reed. That's 5 positions on a defense where you're like, there is no chemistry and cohesion. You can't say Bradbury and Slay because they play on opposite sides of the field. There's different assignments. The closest port of call either of them have to each other is either Avonte Maddox, who's been injured for 15 games, or the safety, who they can maybe rock and roll with, pass off coverage, that sort of thing. So even that, there's just, I don't know. It feels so, something's missing. That's it. It's just something is missing and no one knows what it is. And it's very annoying. So that's unfortunate. Reed's not struggling. He's playing great. I'm delusional. Yeah, he's had a tough few weeks. Brian Shawkins alone. Yeah, I do like Reed Blankenship. I think he's a fun player. But then I also like Marcus Epps, and that burnt me in the ass. I just think that Reed will have teething problems at some point. He's bound to. I will say Britton Covey's been good. I think we've kind of mildly sung his praises this year, but this is a guy that ranks at the top of the NFL in a lot of punt return metrics and just isn't being spoken about. It's just so Philadelphia. The one time the Eagles actually figure special teams out, the rest of the team decides to just implode spontaneously. But when was the last time the Eagles had an exciting punt returner that could average 35, 40 yards a return? Never. Sproles maybe. Before that, yeah, a long time. Bloody long time. So having Britton Covey back there do what he's doing has been really impressive. I've been a big fan for sure. Very big fan. Shout out Britton Covey. And not just because he's British. Little refresher. There we go. We're back. But on to the game against the Giants. I don't know if the Giants are resting players, to be honest with you. We'll have a Google together now, shall we? Is there any... I should do, given that we're associated with AM New York, but even they're not posting much Giants content recently. But they have got one person working, so yeah, it understands. Giants are leaderless, and Daniel Jones is at fault, says ex-NFL MVP. That's there. Yeah, just trying to read through this stuff now. There's nothing. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? The Giants could play backups and the Eagles would still lose, really, is what we've learned here, isn't it? So we have to take that on the chin and just accept that as a possibility, as unfortunate as the Giants are. We have got 20 minutes left in the show. What are your guys' predictions for the upcoming game? I mean, the Eagles are, I believe, are they 12-point favorites in this game? I'm not actually sure. I can't get the odds up. I can't be asked to search it. But the Giants have been playing backups. I thought they had been. I know Saquon's on the way out. Obviously, they're on like their 19th quarterback anyway. So there isn't really a need. Like they need draft picks. Like it should be an Eagles win. It should be a very comfortable Eagles win. The fact we're even discussing the possibility that it might not be is just what is annoying. Really, like this should be the most. This shouldn't need a pre-game show. There shouldn't be any analysis to have. It should be the Eagles are resting their starters against another team resting its starters for a game of it doesn't matter what happens. That should be the narrative. We shouldn't be sat here going they need to win for confidence. They need to win for morale, and they can't lose 2 in a row going into the playoffs. Like it shouldn't even be a possibility. And the fact it is just so upsetting. We'll get 3 scores up by the half. The Giants will come back and make it a heart attack. Probably. I can't wait. I'm living for it. I want the chaos. I want to see them go up by 34 and win 34-31. I can see that genuinely being a possibility. I don't know what the spread is, but if you can bet the Giants, I probably would. Because backdoor covers week 17. Betting in week 7 or 18 now anyway is always a minefield and advised against. But if you're going to do it, just take the points because very rarely does anything like that otherwise go in your favour. But I suppose we can look ahead to the playoffs and a potential playoff run for the Eagles. I'll try and get a playoff bracket up now for you. Let's have a look. Can I just get a bracket that works, please? Not give me rankings, NFL.com. No, you're going to give me the rankings. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. I did get a playoff bracket. Okay. Oh, I got a printable one. Hello. That's the wrong one. That's 2019. Never mind that. Oh, this is so annoying. Playoff bracket. Right. We're sharing the screen. Bear with me. We're coming back. In the meantime, while I get this sorted, if you could leave a like, that would be amazing. Just a good way to... This is a great bracket because it shows absolutely no one. So thank you to CBS for doing that. I'm really happy I clicked that. When I was searching for a playoff bracket, what I actually wanted was something with no information on it. That is exactly what I wanted. You're great. Brilliant. Fucking idiot. Excuse my French. I've got to stop swearing on these streams. I'm going to get myself in a bit of trouble. Here's an ESPN one. Hopefully this is at least filled out. Is it? That's not even a bracket. You don't call it a bracket? Playoff bracket. Where's the bracket? Where is it then? Where is the bracket? There isn't one. Never. I'm half. I'll just sack it off in a minute. This is annoying me now. God Almighty. I just want a bracket. We'll go back on this one again. Unbelievable. All this stream ever is me shouting at my internet browser. So the path from here realistically would be, what the Cowboys would take the Eagles, and the Niners would take the winner of the Rams and Lions. So if we're playing objectively, the Eagles will beat the Bucks and they will face the Cowboys. Then they'll have to beat the Cowboys and face the Niners. So both teams that have absolutely massacred the Eagles over the past, month, the Niners sparked this entire downfall. And they're going to have to beat the Bucks, then go in. I think they'll go into Dallas as the higher seed or the lower seed, no matter how you view it. They'll go into Dallas as the lower seed. Have to win in Jerry World, which is something they've not done since 1912. Then go into San Francisco and play the best team in football, the most disciplined team in football, on the road. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask. It's no longer just beat the Bucks and it's fine. You have to beat the Cowboys on the road in Jerry World. And look, this isn't like doubting or, you're hating on the Eagles. No. This is observing. This Eagles team can't hold Jonathan Gannon. How are they going to hold the Dallas Cowboys on the road? They've got to prove something. Beat the Bucks and maybe we'll feel a bit more confident. Beat the Giants this weekend. Beat the wheels off them. Put 60 up. Make a statement. Maybe we'll feel more confident. But at the minute, the idea of going into the Cowboys' own territory in Jerry World is horrible. It is absolutely terrifying. I I can't think of anything less I'd rather look forward to. They're a very. I'd rather get smacked in the mouth, I think, and I've never been punched, believe it or not. So it's shocking, I know, but I genuinely would rather get punched in the mouth than endure the prospect of this team going into Texas and then into San Francisco. It's not nice, is it? It's not nice. 13-14 Giants, says Mark. Eagles getting their way and learn nothing. If that happens, the show on Monday is going to be an absolute train wreck. I hope you all understand, if the Eagles somehow lose this weekend, the show on Monday is going to be an absolute mess. Okay, so here's a prediction. The Eagles go up at the half with a score of 21-3. The Cowboys are down at the half. The game becomes a blowout, 35-24. If the Cowboys are up at the half, the final score will be 28-19. He is cooking. I don't mind that. I like that. He is cooking. LJ is like an old man yelling at kids to get off their lawn while using Bing. Pretty much. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just shouting and clicking around and hoping for the best, which is what I do most days anyway. Mr. Sandman, welcome to the show. I hope you've had a happy new year. Jordan Davis is pissed because Baldy called him a fatty McFatterson. He's been on a diet ever since Hungry Dogs. See, what he's done is Jordan Davis has probably taken it a bit too seriously and gone, Hungry Dogs run faster. I've got to start bulking. And he's just yamming like pizzas back at the speed of sound and eating as much as he can. He's turned up to practice at 380 pounds. His pads don't fit him anymore. And Brian Balding has gone, Fatty McFatterson. The Fatty McFatterson is the best thing to come of this stream today. That is amazing. I love that. That's in the Hall of Fame, Mr. Sandman. We'll have to beat the Cowboys in Jura World to keep them out of the NFC Championship. We're cooked. But you're English and go to pubs. How have you not been punched? I don't know, if I'm honest with you. There have been some near misses. I tend to get myself in and out of altercations. Like, I'll start walking the tightrope and then just sprint across it. Like, I don't know. I get a bit lippy when I'm drunk. That's the thing. It winds people up. And then people go, you can't hit Liam. He's lovely. And then they don't. And I kind of get away with it. It's like, like a puppy bites you. And then the guy goes, like, hit the puppy. Like, no, not the puppy. He didn't mean it. He's lovely little... And the puppy's up there, like, giving evils. It's sort of like that, I think. You all know you're an NFL scriptwriter. If I was, I'd make sure the Eagles were the 1 seed and undefeated. Yeah, I mean, they should be, shouldn't they? We can't, unfortunately, spend the next 10 minutes of this stream playing shoulda, woulda, coulda, though. The fact is that they're not, and they now have to beat the Giants, have to beat the Bucks, have to beat the Cowboys, the fact is giving them an extra game. And it's Jonathan Gannon as well. Like, the fact that had they just beaten Jonathan Gannon's horrible, tanking, stinky, pathetic, low-life, scumbag Cardinals, right, they'd be the 2 seed and they'd get a game against the Packers potentially, and then they'd move on to face, whoever. Or they'd get home field when they face Dallas at least, Now instead, you've got 2 road matchups. It's just, like, the fact that, look, I was all for, the Eagles knocking the sense out of the Cardinals, all right? I needed that more than I needed oxygen, okay? What I didn't need was Jonathan Gannon pushing the Eagles down another gauntlet. They've just survived. Well, the first gauntlet almost killed the team. Because of the first gauntlet, Jordan Davis is now fat. A.J. Brown's now a diva. Jalen Hurts is terrible. Jordan Davis is also a bust. Brian Johnson should be fired. Nick Sirianni should be fired. Reed Blankenship's terrible. The corners suck. Darius Slay's got an ego problem. And that's because of 1 gauntlet. 2 of those teams you've got to face again in 2 weeks' time. All because of Jonathan Gannon. All because of Jonathan Gannon. Like, that blows my mind. It really does. That because of, how much easier would life be if they've just got the Packers, and then they've got the Niners, and then they go to the Super Bowl. You've got 1 big game, beat a championship defense, then you go into the Super Bowl, and you've beaten the best the AFC has to offer anyway. No, it doesn't faze you anymore. It's fine. But now, because of Jonathan Gannon, you've got to go through Tampa Bay with the Baker Mayfield magic. You've got to go through Dallas again, San Fran again. Those 2 games were the worst of the whole gauntlet. And they're the 2 games that broke this team to a point where everyone's pointing fingers at everyone, right? A.J. Brown's organising emergency bowling nights, for fuck's sake. Excuse me, I need to stop sweating. It's a passionate stream. It's a passionate stream. I just, I don't. It's annoying to think about. Is all I'm saying. But anyway, moving on to other things. Jonathan Gannon is a trash person. I completely agree. Not a fan of him. The fact he said he'd be in Philadelphia for life and then a week later signed a contract with Arizona did it for me. Just a little slippery little snake. He's got a little eggy little face. Looks like an egg. Slippery, sluggy serpent. Ugh, it makes my skin crawl. Ugh. He feels like one of those creepy teachers you have at school that just like put his hand on your thigh or something. Not that I ever had that, but I know they existed. I can't focus on Jonathan Gannon right now. I'm going to get too annoyed and I'll start swearing again. But as far as the rest of the playoff goes, we haven't really spoken about the AFC so far. Obviously, the Ravens play the Steelers tomorrow. Doesn't really matter what happens with the Ravens. They secure the 1 seed, so they'll be rolling out Tyler Huntley and company against Mason Rudolph. What a tragic affair that will be. The Colts and the Niners currently locked into play a playoff game against each other. The Bills, Chiefs, and Browns and Jags. I think the Browns could be a wild card. Not literally, I know they're locked in, but I think the Browns could really end up being a team to watch in the playoffs. Like, as much fun as I would love to see, Doug Peterson's Jags make the Super Bowl or make the championship game, something tells me that the Browns are just going to do something, even if it's just win one game. There's too much talent on that team. They've just got that vibe, haven't they, at the minute? Have they still got, the longest winning streak? I swear they had the longest streak in the league at one point, didn't they? They're on 4. So the Ravens are on 6. The Browns have won 4 in a row to literally push them to the playoffs. In a division where 8-8 is bottom, for crying out loud, 8-8 in the NFC gets you a division in the NFC South. 8-8 in the AFC is bottom of the division. 8-8 in the NFC, you get a divisional crown, you get a first round bye, you get whatever you want with 8-8. Unbelievable, isn't it? Where would the Eagles be? 11-5 elsewhere would put them top of the NFC North. Okay, it's not too. In the AFC, they'd be second in the North, probably tied in the East, first in the West, and top of the South. The parity is wild. I'd love to see the Colts win a playoff game. I would, yeah. I think it's been a long time coming. It would have been cool to see, obviously, Mr. Wonder Kid at quarterback just stay there and get the job done. I know he got injured early on, which sucks, but some Minshew magic. Did anyone order up a side of some Gardner Minshew this postseason? I think bold prediction-wise for the playoffs, I really think that the Browns are going to make some noise. I like the Bills. I think they've kind of kicked themselves. What the Bills have done, what everyone hoped the Eagles would, right? A few short weeks ago, the Buffalo Bills were in total disarray, okay? The Broncos beat them. The Bengals beat them. They ended up firing their offensive coordinator. Then they spunk all over the Jets. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Patriots. They just go on this insurmountable run because they made a change and recognized what wasn't working. All the Eagles have done is gone, well, we're not working, so we need to be better. Will you be? Yeah, we'll be better. Yeah. Better? Yeah, I'll be better. Yeah, sure, I can be better. And then do the same thing the next week. And it's across the board. And it is all across the board. The Bills saw a problem, went, right, that's not working. There's playoffs at stake here. This team's way too talented to be an almost perfect team. They made a cut. They're in, and they rode their way into the postseason. The Eagles saw a problem and just went, we can be better. Nick, can you be... If you can be better, I can be better. Yeah. Cool. Sean, no. Matt, you can be... Yeah, you're better. Yeah. Jalen, yeah, better. My guy, that's better, Jalen. Love it. All they've done is just yap. It's just endless yapping, isn't it? No action. No, I tell a lie. Sometimes, if we're lucky, we get some motion on the first drive on offense. Sometimes, if we're lucky. But the rest of it is just yap. Absolutely yapping. And the Browns are 2017 Eagles. I like that take. Look at that. He's cooking something today, isn't he, Isaac? He's on a bit of a rampage. I like this from the young man. It's got to be said. He is just on an absolute heater right now. I mean, all I will say is Joe Flacco, friend of PSN, loves Delaware, loves LJ. I'd love to see him get another Super Bowl. Like, could you imagine another Joe Flacco Super Bowl in our lifetime? That kind of automatically puts him in like such a different conversation to what he was previously in. I'd love it. He was a lovely man. The funniest story I've got about Joe Flacco is when I interviewed him on PSN and the videos on our channel. We set it up to talk about like a factory for like water purification or something like that. And the agent reaches out, like, do you want to talk to Joe Flacco? Yeah, cool, set it up. So he gets on the Zoom, and about 10 minutes before the Zoom, I get an email saying, have you got any questions for him? So I send it over. And they go, cool, you just can't ask him about what happened with the Jets. I was like, right. And I was like, what about... Yeah, that's fine. Just, you can't ask about what happened with the Jets or what's going to happen with the Eagles. You can't ask about like his current thing. Like you can ask about him being there, but you can't ask about starting essentially. And I was like, so I can talk about a Super Bowl from like 10 years ago, his water factory, and the fact that he's from Delaware. Like, it'd be cool to get, he wants to... I couldn't talk about mentoring Jalen Hurts. I couldn't talk about being a veteran on the team. I was had to kind of like shoehorn things in. And like, there's a couple bits where, I don't know, I'll probably find it and dig it out for next stream. But you can see him, like, he smiles a bit because he knows I'm like trying to hint at stuff and get, you shouldn't be asking that. But he was very good. He was very good to me. I think it was more his agent being protective. I don't think it was Joe at all. But yeah, he was a very nice man. I thought it was funny that I was like, oh, can we talk to Joe Flacco? Yeah, just don't ask about what happened with New York. And you can't ask about starting in Philadelphia. It's the factory, it's Delaware, and it's Joe. That's it. That's all you can ask him about. I thought that was quite funny, really. Doug remembers it. What a man. Look at that. PSN diehards in this chat tonight. That's what the Core 12 are. They are the, what's the terminology called? I've forgotten now, isn't it? The Ultras, the PSN Ultras. Isaac says we made the wrong... Someone has got to get Isaac away from his keyboard because he is talking way too much sense for a Friday evening before a meaningless Week 18 game. The man is just churning out take after take, banger after banger after banger. Completely right, completely agree with you there. If Joe Douglas is fired from the Jets, I want him back. I mean, that's... I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting point. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think if you go back and look at the Jets, like, I don't know, Denzel Mims exists, is all I'm saying. Okay? Denzel Mims exists. I can see a mile away that was never going to work out, but somehow the Jets bought into it. Sure, they've hit some good picks like Breece Hall. Joe Douglas has always understood how to build a team. I think they got unlucky with the Aaron Rodgers thing, this year. They could have really been a playoff team. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard to quantify, isn't it? But they're also like Isaac says, they're an incredibly good defensive team. Like, and even the guys that have gone, like you go back to the days when Jamal Adams was there and some of the great linebackers and defensive tackles they've had. They've always been able to pick out like great defensive players. So I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't say no to Joe coming back, but he would probably be in a subordinate role and there might be some, teething problems there. But on that note, we are approaching the end of the stream on this luscious Friday evening, which means we're going to have to bid you adieu ahead of our Week 18 clash against the Giants. Woo! Can't wait for that. Really excited. Which means I'll see you Monday when the regular season is in the books, and I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about. Hopefully, the Eagles win very smoothly. Maybe the Cowboys even lose. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Would that not be a miracle? Like a week later than we'd all hoped. Like the Cowboys lose, the Eagles win, the NFC East is ours, and they can waltz into the playoffs and beat the Packers. Like that'd be such a better story than what other like soundtracked by Ace of Spades by Motorhead Chaos is going to ensue this weekend. So hopefully the Eagles can come away with a win, and we can go into the postseason heads high, chin up, tits out, and ready for an exciting postseason of football. I can't wait for it. I'm excited for the playoffs. No matter how they go, I hope the Eagles can get it together. And if they can show even one sign of life, sign of life against the Giants. I'll be all in. I'll be back in, talking them up, ready for the week ahead. I like the way the Brit says linebacker. That's why I'm pronouncing. How do you say it? Lane. That's not Irish. Lanebacker. I'm gonna say it in a sentence. I'm gonna try and talk it in an American accent now. So I say linebacker. Oh, I see. Like it's two like linebacker. Yeah, linebacker. Well, how do you say? I'm trying to. Right, hang on. Give me. So Shag Leonard. Do an American accent, Liam. The people are waiting. The Philadelphia Eagles today saying that's not American. The Eagles signed Shaq Leonard, the linebacker. I can't say linebacker in American. The Eagles signed Shaq Leonard, a linebacker. Oh, linebacker. Like, yeah? This is embarrassing, isn't it? I might just go here. The Philadelphia Eagles signed Shaq Leonard, a linebacker, out of Wisconsin. Linebacker. And I'm linebacker. I'm so... I can't even say... Do it with a southern... Linebacker. It's even I know that sounded bad. Linebacker. Oh, here we go. Linebacker. What is this stream just descended into? Linebacker. I feel like it should be sound lion, but it feels weird. Linebacker. Oh, linebacker. Liam. No. Better. We're getting American coach in the chat. Love to see it. Just before we go, guys, if you haven't liked the stream already, if you could, that would be amazing. Again, it's the best way to help support what we do. It means I can have more and more people on a regular basis. And a big shout again to Eugene Krabs for the very kind donation of $50. Love seeing you cook trolls on Twitter. For those who didn't see it, I did mug someone off completely 2 days in a row. I'm riding a hot streak on the old X platform right now. So do not cross me on X, if you know what I mean, because I'm in a sassy mood. But no, it's a very kind donation. Super appreciate it. And yeah, we love you to bits, Eugene. Thank you for all you do to support PSN. Guys, have a lovely weekend. I hope Saturday is full of sunshine and golf and alcohol and whatever else it may be. College football, if that's on. Is it next week? I think it's next week, isn't it? But go Birds. Goodbye. Take care. I'll see you Monday, hopefully with an NFC East crown clinch. We'll wait and see. But until then, take care.